What's up, heathens? How y'all doing? Today we're going to be going over some things as far as the Pentecostal faith goes. We're going to be talking about what Pentecostals believe, what makes them different from, other Christians out there. We're going to be talking with the Godless Iowan, given that he was a Pentecostal preacher. We're going to talk about what it was like for him to become an atheist, like some of the more ridiculous things about theism that he realized after he left faith altogether. And then we'll be also talking about his own activism and things that he does. So, if you want to know more about Godless Iowan's story, then please subscribe to him, but also stay tuned. Because we try to understand it and it just doesn't make sense. I mean, once you get to the point of, let's see, I don't even know which one to pick as far as we've read into the Bible already. It's either God closing up all of the women's areas, at that one guy's house, not once but twice, in order to punish people, or it's the shoving of the snakes up the Jews' ass. When they're in the desert wandering for some time. Like, I don't know which one. I mean, it really does seem like God hates the Jews in the Bible. Let's be honest.
And, that's the thing is another part of it that I've learned since then is growing up, we always supported Israel. Oh, we loved Israel. But we didn't love Israel. We supported Israel because we believed that would bring about the end of the world. In Revelations, they teach that Israel is a nation, and that's why many of the Pentecostal churches support Israel, is that they want to see the end of the world come. It's crazy.
Yeah, I've never really understood this need for an end of the world. Like I get now we have a lot of the end of the world scenarios, mainly concerning zombies. So I get why people are fascinated with the concept, but to actually want it, want to do something that will actually bring it about, it'd be like a CDC scientist being like, well, fuck all this society shit, and pushing the red button and making all the diseases come about, So, I mean, I don't know. It just seems really weird.
Well, I mean, the way that I kind of can describe it is in the Pentecostal church, at least, when you're growing up, you're trash. You're told that you're trash, and without God, you're trash. This world is trash. This world is shit. There's nothing good in this world except for God. And the only good that will ever happen is when the end of the world occurs and heaven comes down from earth and we reign with God for eternity. You're basically just taught that this world is awful. And if you ever want to experience anything good, you either have to die and go to heaven or the world has to end.
Now, do Pentecostals think that everybody gets into heaven? I'm kind of curious, what, no. Well, I mean, everybody that is a Pentecostal gets into heaven. Of course, other people go to hell, but I'm wondering what do they think gets them into heaven, and then what is heaven like?
That's different based on the denomination of Pentecostalism. Some Pentecostals will say that you just have to, say a sinner's prayer, if you know what that is. And you ask for salvation. Others will say that you have to receive the baptism of the Spirit and speak in tongues, that only then are you actually saved.
Oh, okay. So you just have to babble for God and then you can get in.
Yeah.
That seems like that's a pretty easy requirement. I mean, anybody can do that. So what is heaven like for, since they want to bring about the apocalypse and everything like that because they want to go to heaven, they want Jesus to come back and rule on earth and everything. I'm kind of curious, is heaven just like here on earth? Because I know that's part of some denominations. They think that heaven is just another earth, and you transported there and you live peacefully or happily or whatever on the new earth or whatever.
Well, the way that it was taught to me was, if you die before the end of the world, you go to heaven. After the end of the world, God transforms the earth, and we all get transported back to the earth, and we live a perfect life with no pain or suffering or anything like that for all eternity. Uh, uh, and it sounded really boring even when I was a kid, but uh, I remember once asking my mother, "Are there video games in heaven?" And she goes, "Well, yeah, there'll be the religious ones." And I said, "Oh, the boring ones. Crap."
Well, I don't know. There's a Noah's Ark game that's a lot like Doom or Wolfenstein.
Yes, yes.
I
Yeah.
mean, playing that for eternity though, I would not want to do that. But oh yeah, there's a Jesus game. It's what is it called? It's like a role playing game almost where you get to create your own character and you've got to like walk the path of Jesus and like you can use like it's like karma or chi or something like that. I don't really know, but it's really weird and time consuming and it's got horrible graphics.
Do you get to kill people with head flames?
No. But you can be a woman and then fuck a man, and then the man comes up and be like, "This is your child. Take care of your child." All because you hugged them. Like you hugged them, and you get the person pregnant regardless of gender, and then it's like, what? I don't even understand this shit right now. This isn't how shit works.
That might be sex ed for some kids in that brand.
Yeah.
You hug someone and they're pregnant.
Yeah, exactly. So, getting back to your story, your deconversion and everything like that. So, we were at, you're a minister and you really started trying to read and understand the Bible. Was there any certain story or anything like that in the Bible that you were just like, all right, I'm done with it. That's the last straw. Or was it more of like you got done with it and you just sort of contemplated what it meant for you? Like, what was that like?
Well, I can tell you the first story that really made no sense to me. Do you know the story about Balaam and the donkey?
Yes.
Okay. I remember hearing that story growing up the whole time I grew up, and it made perfect sense. And then I went back and I started reading it, and I'm like, well, wait, God sent this guy in that direction. Then he sent an angel there, and then it's just a story about animal abuse. That's fucked up. So that was the first one that got me. The second, or the one that really put me off, I'm trying to think of what it was. It has to do with the prayer of a righteous man availeth much. It's in the New Testament. And basically, by that point, I had been praying for my faith to return. I had been, trying to get God to reveal himself to me because I had been told, this is your job. This is what you're supposed to do. You're going to be Elijah. And I didn't read in the Bible that Elijah went through that. So I prayed and I prayed and I prayed and I read that. And then that led me to the scripture, trust in the Lord God with all your heart and lean not on your own understandings. And I was like, oh, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
Don't trust anything outside of this book. It's just shit. It just drove me nuts. And by that point, my marriage was starting to fall apart, and the church wasn't going to allow me to get a divorce and still be a minister. And I was already done with it. And I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm out.
Okay. So what was your doubting of your faith, was that hurting your marriage, or was there other things that were going on?
There was other things. My ex-wife, she cheated on me, and it was perfectly fine in the church for someone to cheat and then ask for forgiveness.
Right.
And I was just supposed to be okay with that. I wasn't okay with that, and I was done. It just, things added up, and really I got to the point where I was like, I'm going to end up in the same position as my cousins one day if I don't leave this all behind me.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, I know that we kind of
So
just met, but I really don't want to see you in that position.
yeah.
But so you left the church and everything like that. What was the reaction from like other family members and whatnot? I know kind of at that point you were either seeking divorce or were divorced. So, you know, like, have you been shunned by your family, or do you still keep up with them?
Well, I went home when I had a sermon, and after the sermon, I sat there and I was like, I'm done. I just can't do this anymore. I want a divorce. I want to get out of the ministry. I went home and I told my ex that we were going to get a divorce, that I was leaving, and that she goes, well, you know, your faith says you can't do this. And I said, well, I don't have my faith anymore. I don't believe it. The next week she went to my church and told everybody that I was an atheist and that I was worshiping Satan and all kinds of other stuff.
Well, that bringing out the Satan dick is really kind of a jumping point right at this point. I mean, you didn't say you were an atheist sucking on that Satan dick. You just said you don't have that particular part of the faith.
At one point, I heard that I was a womanizing, cross-dressing homosexual who worshiped Satan.
You know, can you imagine walking in on that? You know, just somebody cross-dressing, worshiping Satan. It's like, oh, hey, honey. How you doing? Sacrificing a bunny or a cat. You know, scientists, they love to sacrifice cats before they look at Neptune.
Oh, yeah, they have to. That's the only way you can see it.
Exactly. You got to drizzle that baby blood on the telescope before it reveals it.
How else are you going to see through the firmament?
Exactly.
Get to Neptune without cat blood. But yeah, that's my family. My family pretty well accepts me. My mother has had the hardest time with it, and we went through a long period of not speaking. She's still very religious. My dad, I sometimes wonder if he's not an in the closet atheist, just the way he kind of talks to me sometimes. Mm-hmm. But yeah, my relationship with my mom was very strained. And one day I just told her, you know, we got to come up with a new normal or we're not going to have any relationship at all.
Right.
And since then, it's gotten better.
Well, that's good. Now, now, as far as like you being labeled a cross-dressing homosexual, all that kind of business, like, you know, what was it? Was it very long? Like, did people just accept that you were sucking Satan dick, or like, were people skeptical?
Pretty much. I had people calling me up and asking me if I needed someone to come pray over me because I was being demon oppressed or possessed. And I just kept having to tell people, no, none of that's true. And once they realized that I wasn't coming back to the faith, now, like I said, my family's accepted me, but the majority of my congregation won't even look at me if I'm out on the street. They'll dive behind an aisle rather than bump into me at the store.
Wow. Yeah, that is really sad. But you know, you talking about that though reminded me of a story that KC has. She has one of those Zen garden things at her work. And I don't know if you can hear her laughing. She's got one of those Zen garden things, right? And so this woman at work legit thought that she worshiped Satan, like because she was an atheist. So yeah. Well, no, the Zen garden is going to come up here in a second, okay? So this woman thought that she legit worshipped Satan. So to fuck with her, KC drew a pentagram with the whole pentagram with the circle in her Zen garden so that the woman would find it. She wouldn't come back into the cubicle because apparently it was all satanified. But I could, I know I would take a similar position. Like if somebody thought that I just worshiped Satan, I would come and I don't know, I would have like a pentagram like on my face or something. I don't know. It makes me think of how much I would confront them about it.
To be fair, she actually asked me. Well, she didn't really ask. She just said one that I go home after work and sacrifice small animals to Satan in my basement. And I was like, but I don't even have a basement.
I have to do that shit in the living room.
And the thing is, at first I thought she was kidding, but then I realized she was serious, and I was like, where did you hear that? Like, who told you that? That's crazy. And she said that that's what they taught her in her church, that atheists do. And I'm like, oh, well, that's not.
Yeah, the way I figured it, there's people that will approach me and talk to me about it. It's like they don't actually listen when I talk. They basically just keep their mouth shut while I'm saying my piece and then try to reconvert me. But I just figure, why worry about them? They're going to believe what they want to believe. I live in a small rural community, and so everybody has rumors about them here. So I'm not really any different than anyone else.
Right. Now, at that point, though, were you really an atheist, or were you just kind of in an I don't know kind of pure agnostic sort of situation?
By the time I'd actually left the ministry, I was an atheist completely in mindset. I didn't have any belief in God, but I hadn't actually said it. It took me a while to actually say it, because that's almost as bad as being a Catholic, is to say you're an atheist coming from a Pentecostal background.
Wow. So what made you want to actually start to use the atheist label? Like, was there any certain thing, or did you just sort of dive head first?
I read The God Delusion, and I got to the point where he was talking about the Dawkins scale, and I realized, okay, I might not know 100% that there is no God, but I'm pretty damn close to that bottom, number 7 atheist. So I'm pretty close. I like to say that for God in general, I'm agnostic, but for any God with a book deal, I'm Gnostic.
Okay. No, yeah, I totally agree with that. Actually, like I describe myself as an agnostic atheist because, on the whole, I don't know if God exists, but I don't believe in one, right? But as far as like the actual, like the Yahweh of the Bible or Allah of Islam, like we have sort of requirements that would say, oh yes, these guys exist. And they fail on all those requirements. So it's like we know that they don't exist because they haven't not only been shown not to exist, but the properties that we know them to be aren't exhibited at all. So they don't exist. So we know it. Yeah. So I'm totally right there with you on that.
The big thing is, for something to be omnipotent and all-knowing, they can't change their mind. And throughout the Bible, God changes his mind more than some people change their underwear.
Yeah. Okay. My favorite story in the book in the Bible about God changing his mind for weird, crazy fucking reasons. Okay, is when Moses is on the road. I don't know what fucking road, but he's on the road to Egypt, and God stops him and is just pissed off at him for no goddamn reason at all, and he's gonna kill him. So his wife is like, hold on, I've got it, slices off the tip of her son's dick and throws it at his feet. And then God's like, all right, you can live. It's like, I don't know what that exactly did for God. I don't know if like that made him climax or what, but apparently it was perfect for him. So it's
maybe like if you're at a bar and a fight's about to occur and then something really weird and fucked up happens in the corner and the fight just goes away. I think that's what that was. God was just like, I'm gonna kill. What the fuck?
This bitch is crazy. I'm not fucking with her, man. Oh man. Okay, so
I was gonna kill you, but you gotta live with that the rest of your life.
Okay, so after you started using the atheist label, I mean, like, you know, you had left the ministry and everything like that. What what did you do after that? Like, what was it like, you know, as far as, because I gather that was your job, and so now you had to find out like a new kind of path in life. I mean, I'm kind of wondering, like, was that really difficult, or was it a little bit easier? Like, did you have a side thing kind of going on where, you know, you were proficient at it?
The good thing was about losing my faith at the time I did was I had been going back to school and going to get my accounting and business degrees. And so when I finally left the ministry, I was able to find a secular job fairly easily.
That's good.
Yeah, it wasn't bad for me. I have a great job now that pays way more than I got as a minister. And I don't even have to beg anyone for it. So, so I'm pretty happy now with that. A lot of people do have a very rough time. When they leave the ministry, they have no idea what they're going to do. But luckily that wasn't me.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I mean, they've even got a whole organization now for it. I just had it on the tip of my tongue. Well, there's Recovering from Religion, but it's the Clergy Project. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a member of the Clergy Project.
Oh, you are? Oh, okay. Yeah. So what do you do for the Clergy Project? Do you just help out like ministers that are leaving, or what do you do?
The Clergy Project is basically, we're there to be a place where, you know, former ministers can come, they can vent, they can seek out advice in finding a new career. We're basically just there to give ministers a community where they've just lost their entire community.
Right. Well, I mean, I think
it's really good to be able to help people out in that way.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. I mean, especially people coming out of that like that. I mean, they lose everything pretty much, and they need that kind of support. So, I mean, I'm glad that you're taking part in that. Now, is there anything else that you're doing as far as activists goes? Like, you're doing the Clergy Project, and of course, you've got your stuff that you do with your blog. But I just didn't know if you were doing anything else.
I run a small group on Facebook called the Recovering Theist Support Group. Basically, just a place for atheists who used to be theists. There's some differences, of course, between someone who was born to atheist parents and someone who came to atheism later on. There's going to be struggles and things like that your lifelong atheist has never realized would occur. A lot of atheists who came from religion, especially the fundamentalist faith, like I did, still have anxiety about hell at times. And so it's there to be a place for people who need to talk every now and then. Basically, I'm just there.
Oh, okay. Well, no, I mean, no, yeah, I mean, just being there for people is can have a monumental impact on their lives. So, no, I think that's great that you run that. Casey's already requested to join.
Awesome.
Thank you, heathens, for making it to the end. If you will, please comment below with the part that you most resonated with, whether it was how ridiculous some religious beliefs are, or your own activism and things that you do to help promote atheism or rationality or skepticism in your own communities. While you're down there, Make sure you smash that like button and subscribe if you like this kind of content. Also, make sure you subscribe to the Godless Iowan. He's got great content as well. Don't forget to stand up and use your voice, and I will see you heathens later.